Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Baba Girivardhar Hari Gopi Jana Baba Girivardhar Hari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Lord Chaitanya chanted this when he was in South India also. Because many of the devotees, or many of the Vaishnavas in South India were Ram Bhaktas. Mostly Ram Bhakta. Even now, if you travel in South India, most of the Vaishnavas, maybe most or many of them are Ram Bhaktas, especially in Andhra Pradesh. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahima. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahima. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Is that the verse? Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Now, Srila Prabhupada did say, it's in the database, that you could chant Raghupati Raghava Ram on Ram Navami. Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada also, when they were installing the deities of Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman in Mumbai, Bombay, said there's no need to sing it. Everything's there in the Mahamantra. Ram is there, Krishna is there, Radha is there, Sita, everyone's there. Simply chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and worship Radha Krishna, Sita Ram, they're all there. But either way, Srila Prabhupada said both. And today is a very auspicious day, not just because it's Ram Navami, but today is the anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's installing the deities in Vrindavan also. on this day. And today, there is an installation taking place in Delhi. Another one. 18 temples now. Not all yet opened. But today is the installation of Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman in a place called Rohini.
Aujourd'hui, c'est à Delhi, il y a déjà 18 temples, mais aujourd'hui, c'est l'installation de Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman.
I'll have to reorient my thinking now if there's a translation. Well, it's going to be difficult. We have to be quick.
Aujourd'hui, c'est l'anniversaire de l'installation par Srila Prabhupada à Vrindavan des déités.
It's also the first Ram Navami in the new temple in Ayodhya. You can imagine what's going on there. How many of you have been to this new temple in Ayodhya? You turned up the volume. Getting warmed up here. Nobody?
Personne n'a été à Ayodhya depuis l'installation?
Okay. You been? No. Just your camera's been. So a big day. Huge temple in Rohini, massive temple they're opening today. And they're installing Radhamadava, Panchatattva, and Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, all today. Beautiful deities. We saw them. We were there 10 days ago maybe. Did you see Hanuman? Did you see? You were with me? Oh, we went into the inner chambers and we had darshan of the deities there before this installation. Of course, the Lord is there. He's there according to your heart. He's not there by pranapratishtha. Part of it, but the real way is he reveals himself according to our hearts. And I can say Hanuman was so beautiful. I've never seen such a beautiful Hanuman deity in my life. So sweet. So beautiful. Everyone agrees he's the most beautiful Hanuman they've ever seen. Amazing deity of Hanuman. Very small though. Must be when he was a little boy or something, you know. Very small. I'll tell a story about that later. Krishna willing. So today is this wonderful occasion of Ram Navami, one of the most important festivals of the year amongst Vaishnavas and even Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It's not that we're necessarily worshipping Krishna in the form of Sita Ram, but still is a very important part of our devotional growth. Interesting, when the two gatekeepers were cursed by the Kumaras, they took 3 births, right? First one, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, killed by both of them? Forgotten? No, I think it was Matsyavatar, wasn't it? Who killed him? Who killed Hiranyakashipu? Nrsimhadev. Well done. That was cool. You must be a learned scholar in the Bhagavatam. And then they appeared again as... Who were the next time they came by? Ravana, Kumbhakarna. And who killed them? Ram. And who they came again? As
en tant que
Shishupal and Dantavakra, and who killed them?
qui les a tués?
Krishna. So these three forms of the Lord, huh?
Donc il y a trois formes du Seigneur.
Nrsingadev, Ramchandra, and Krishna.
Nrsingadev, Ramchandra et Krishna.
Sometimes Prabhupada said these are the most three significant forms.
Prabhupada parfois dit c'est les trois plus significatifs.
There's a close connection here.
Il y a une connexion très proche là.
Anyway, we'll go on. We will now, Krishna willing, sing the song from the Dasavatar Stotram.
Le chant du Dasavatar Stotra.
Just one verse only.
Seulement un verset.
Notice we'll be here. It's a long, to sing all 8 or 9 verses takes a long time. Or 10 or 11 verses. We'll just sing the one about Lord Ramchandra. Is it on the screen? Okay, put it on my screen. So this was compiled by Jayadev Goswami. And you can probably read this in the Kirtan Standards book of Jayadvaita Maharaj also. That Prabhupada said we should not read the books or sing the songs of Jayadev Goswami. They are too elevated. But this one he said we could sing. Das Avatar Stotram. And Prabhupada said actually on the appearance days we should sing it. Although some people say Prabhupada only chanted Jairadhava. On appearance days there are times you can see Prabhupada chanted Das Avatar Stotram. So we're not going to chant the whole Das Avatar because time is limited. But maybe later we can. Can you read it? Good. Vitarasi dikshurane dikpati kamaniyam dashamukkamali palim ramaniyam. All together. Vitarasi dikshurane dikpati kamaniyam dashamukkamali balim ramaniyam. Vitarasi dikshurane dikpati kamaniyam dashamukkamali balim ramaniyam. Keshavadrita Rama Shri Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Kesavadrita Rama Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Kesavadrita Rama Sharira Kesavadrita Rama Sharira. Keshapadita Rama Sharira. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. 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 Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Ram Navami ki. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Shtata Satisha A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Shri Shri Gaunitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Madhava ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Ojidham ki, Shri Ram Navami ki, Go Premanandi, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, all glories to the assembled devotees. Namo Vishnu Badaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nevasesha Sunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatani. Hare Krishna. I remember the first time we were in Vrindavan, we would stay in an ashram called the Fogler Ashram. I believe it's still there. It's about half a kilometer from the Krishna Balaram Mandir. And across the road in those days, I don't hear it now, but there was a Sitaram temple. And they were doing a Khanda Kirtan. They were doing non-stop chanting of Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Morning, all 24 hours a day, non-stop. It was going on for years on end. Just Sitaram, Sitaram, for years on end. I don't hear it anymore. I don't suppose it's there. I don't know what happened. It was when you get up in the morning, you got to go walk out the door to go to walk down the silent road. There was not even a bicycle, what to speak of a car. Towards the Krishna Balaram Mandir, there was no buildings. All you could hear was Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Very nice to hear when you wake up in the morning. Huh? O Keshava, this is the translation. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Ramchandra. Assumed the form. Oh, glorious to you. In the battle of Lanka, you destroy the 10-headed demon Ravana and distribute his heads. You distributed his heads as a delightful offering. A delightful offering. Turn the volume down. That's the problem with microphones. You can't hear what it sounds like when you're speaking. We never used to use microphones. Even in Vrindavan. You destroy the 10-headed demon Ravana and distribute his heads as a delightful offering to the presiding deities of the 10 directions.
Tu as détruit les 10 têtes du démon Ravana et tu as distribué ces têtes comme une offrande délicieuse aux déités des 10 directions.
Prasad distribution, huh?
Distribution du prasad.
A fate long desired by them all, whom that monster had much harassed.
Donc,
Heavy words.
un acte qui a été désiré depuis très longtemps par tous,
Whom that
par tous
monster.
ceux dont que le démon avait harcelé.
Haribo, Sudama. Sudama's come for his first Ram Navami. Haribo. Jai. He's been coming for class, has he? Is this his first class, or has he been for many? He came to some, okay. First Ram Navami. Jai. And you could go on and on with this subject matter, but we want today, I'd say, a different angle in terms of Ram Navami. I believe yesterday Madhavendra Puri Prabhu spoke a little bit about one of the characteristics of Lord Ramchandra specifically. His emphasis on the importance of Dharma in human society. So we're going to read now from the 5th canto. Normally on Ram Navami we don't read from the 5th canto. The pastimes of Lord Ramchandra are found in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. And there you see Shukadeva Goswami, because he's been answering the questions, you could say, or not the questions, but describing all the incarnations of the Lord one by one. So now he's describing the form of Ramachandra, his appearance. And he said, now this, don't forget, this is going back many thousands of years ago, he said, because you've heard this over and over again, I will only briefly mention it. It was completely common understanding that even today that most young children, they hear the Ramayana again and again from their grandmother or somebody in the family. In the West, we hear some fairy tales or some mundane stories when we were kids. But in India, they hear Ramayana. And all over Asia, this is common. Ramayana is common everywhere. Some of you have been to Thailand, you've been to Indonesia, Malaysia. You've been, where have you been? All of those places? Indonesia, you see how much in Indonesia the Muslim people, they adore the Ramayana. They absolutely love it. And the Mahabharata also. Mahabharata also. You go to Thailand, a Buddhist country, and you'll see there all the streets in Bangkok, they're named Ram 1, Rama 2, Rama 3, Rama 4, Rama 5. Until recently, the capital of Thailand was Ayodhya. That was the name of the city, Ayodhya, just north of Bangkok. Capital of Thailand, when it was called Siam. It used to be called Siam, Krishna's name, Siam. They changed it recently to Thailand. And in Ayodhya, it's Ayodhya 1, Ayodhya 2, Ayodhya 3, like that. You go to the king's palace, it's called the Emerald Palace. They have an emerald Buddha, solid emerald, deity of Buddha.
Montréal.
How many of you have been to the Emerald Temple in Bangkok? Fanny Bhushan. You go there, and for about the walls around it are maybe at least 1 kilometer in circumference, the wall, you know, around the temple. And from beginning to end, it depicts the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra from birth to the back to the spiritual realm. This is not a Hindu limited. This is these are the real histories of the world. Not a sectarian thing. This is absolute. The Lord performs His absolute pastimes, you could say. And they're still there. After millions of years, people still relish them. They make movies. This Japanese company made a big movie about the Ramayana. All over the world, it's becoming popular. Whatever. So anyway, we're going to go to the Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 19. Which verse is on the board? Number 4. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, text number 4, the island of Jambudweep. So this is a verse which is spoken. Let's see, my dear king. I'll read the first 3 verses, then you'll get the idea. Okay. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, and if you have the 5th canto of French, there's a copy here somewhere. You can easily read it. You don't have to bother translating, so to speak. Text 1. We'll start with text 1. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, in Kimpurush Varsha, the great devotee Hanuman is always engaged with the inhabitants of that land in devotional service to Lord Ramchandra, the elder brother of Lakshman and dear husband of Sita Devi.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami dit, Ô roi, à Kimpurusha Varsha, le grand bhakta Hanuman ainsi que tous les autres habitants de cette contrée servent constamment avec dévotion Sri Ramachandra, le frère aîné de Lakshman et l'époux aîné de Sita Devi.
And this brings to memory when Atmatattva Prabhu was in New Zealand, well, many years, decades ago.
Donc Atmatattva Prabhu était en Nouvelle-Zélande il y a quelques décennies.
And I don't know where he got it from, but he said, off the coast of New Zealand, unseen to human beings, is this island or this place of Kimpurush.
Il a dit que je sais pas où il a trouvé ça, mais
but it reminded us of this.
Nouvelle-Zélande, il y avait cette île de Kimpurusha.
We just can't see it. It's on a higher plane of consciousness. Continuing, Shukadeva Goswami says, a host of Gandharvas is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord, of Lord Ramchandra. That chanting is always extremely auspicious. Hanumanji and Arshtisena, the chief person in Kimpurush Varsha, constantly hear those glories with complete attention. Hanuman chants the following mantras.
Une multitude de Gandharvas chante sans cesse les gloires de Sri Ramachandra pour le plus grand bien de tous. Tandis qu'Hanumanji et Arshtisena, le responsable de Kimpurusha Varsha, écoutent continuellement cette louange d'une oreille très attentive. Quant à Hanuman, il chante également les mantras qui suivent.
They're constantly hearing about Lord Ramchandra there.
Ils écoutent constamment les gloires de Ramachandra.
And the next verse is one of those, they call Bij mantras, I believe. Om Namo Bhagavate Uttama Shlokaya Namaya Lakshana Shilavitaya Nama upishitatmana upasita lokaya. Nama sadhu vada nikashanaya. Namo brahmanya devaya. Mahapurushaya. Maharajaya nama iti.
C'est un beach mantra de Ramachandra.
Let me please your lordship, Hanuman says, by chanting the Bija mantra Omkar. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is the best among the most highly elevated personalities. Your lordship is the reservoir of all the good qualities of the Aryans, people who are advanced. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind, acting just like an ordinary human being. You exhibit exemplary character to teach others how to behave. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold, but you are like a touchstone that you can verify all good qualities. You are worshipped by Brahmins, who are the foremost of all devotees. You are the supreme person, are the king of kings, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Donc Hanuman continue. Puissais-je satisfaire ta grâce en chantant le Bij mantra Omkar. Je souhaite offrir mon hommage respectueux à Dieu, la personne suprême, le plus grand d'entre les grands. Ta grâce est d'ailleurs la demeure de toutes les qualités des Aryas, des êtres évolués. Ton comportement et ton caractère sont toujours conséquents et tu es toujours maître de tes sens, de même que de ton mental. Agissant comme un homme ordinaire, tu fais preuve d'un caractère exemplaire pour montrer aux autres comment se comporter. Il existe une pierre de touche servant à déterminer le titre de l'or, mais toi, tu es comme une pierre de touche capable d'évaluer toutes les qualités. Tu es adoré par les brahmanas, comptant parmi les plus grands de tous les bhaktas. Toi, la personne suprême, tu es le roi de rois, et je t'offre mon hommage respectueux.
There's an evolutionary, we could say, evolutionary progress here, in the sense, between Nrsimhadev, Ramachandra, and Lord Krishna.
Donc on peut dire qu'il y a un progrès entre les différentes apparitions de Nrsimhadev, Ramachandra et Krishna.
In the path of devotional service, practically speaking, the first characteristic is kleshagni. It means removal of unwanted or dirty things in the heart.
Donc sur le sentier de la bhakti, la première chose que nous rencontrons, c'est kleshagni, c'est nettoyer les choses impures accumulées dans le cœur.
Now that process continues, but there's an excessive, you could say, an excessive application of that in the beginning stages. We give up meat eating, this thing, illicit sex, gambling, and so many things like that, isn't it?
Donc c'est ce qu'on peut voir au début, il y a tellement de choses qu'on abandonne, on suit les 4 principes
You
régulateurs.
smash the anarthas.
On écrase toutes les anarthas, les choses
Even in Krishna Lila, the smashing of anarthas is a prerequisite, really, for entering into the, you could say, the intimate pastimes.
Donc tout comme dans les divertissements de Krishna, éliminer les anarthas, c'est un prérequis pour accéder
So
aux
who,
divertissements
which
heureux.
form of the Lord is specifically in the mood of smashing anarthas?
Donc quelle est l'apparition du Seigneur qui est apparue spécialement pour écraser les anarthas?
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasinghaye Namaste Tejase Avira Vibhava Vajranaka Vajradharma Karmashayan Vandaya Vandaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Shvaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmini Bhuyishta Om Shram. His business is to smash or tear out our dirty desires within our heart. Huh?
Donc son activité, Nrsimhadev, c'est d'écraser et de déchirer toutes les choses indésirables qu'on a dans le cœur.
Then you could say, you could be prepared to then start worshipping the Lord.
Donc on peut dire qu'on peut être prêt à accomplir l'adoration du Seigneur.
There's another little one in the back. Who is this little one?
Il y a un autre petit bhakta au fond. Comment il
Is
s'appelle?
he is a brother? Twin? You had twins? No.
Non, c'est pas un jumeau.
Who's that one? Huh?
Her name is Elvina.
Alvina? Haribo, Alvina. You learn? You bring your Vina?
Tu as amené ta Vina?
Good girl. So, and the worship of Sitaram mostly it's some, you could say, reverential. Mostly.
Donc on peut dire que l'adoration de Sri Sitaram, c'est quelque chose de plutôt révérentiel.
In the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra, there's not so much, you could say, of the prema, although there is prema in reverential devotion, but it's not on the same level as the prema in relationship to Radha and Krishna or Krishna's pastimes.
Donc on peut dire que dans les divertissements de Sitaram, il y a de l'amour, c'est sûr, mais c'est pas aussi élevé que les degrés d'amour qu'on peut trouver dans
It's
les
tinged with some Aishvarya Bhav, some reverential approach. Even Sita Devi has a husband-wife relationship, and it's, tinged.
C'est teinté vraiment de révérence. Même entre Sita et Ram, il y a cet respect révérentiel.
Although there is confidentiality there is you could say a Madhurya Ras with the tinges there, but it's not manifest in public.
Donc bien qu'il y ait une rasa plus intime, ce n'est pas manifesté en public.
Yes, and even Hanuman and other great devotees, they're worshipping the Lord in reverence.
Hanuman, ils adorent le Seigneur d'une façon révérentielle.
Primarily the relationship is in the mood of Dasya Ras.
Donc principalement, l'amour se manifeste sur la dasya rasa.
And this is the foundation of all the other. Without an establishment of pure Dasya Ras, then there's no manifestation of the other rasas.
Donc c'est une base. Sans avoir cette attitude révérentielle, il ne peut pas y avoir d'autres formes plus intimes de prema rasa.
And this is particularly manifest in the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra.
Et c'est particulièrement manifesté dans les divertissements du Seigneur Ramachandra.
Even from Sita Devi, from Lakshman, from Hanuman, from all of them.
Même de la part de Sita Devi, Lakshman,
There is some parental affection, but it's, you could say, there with Dasharatha and Kaushalya, of course it's there. But it's a small part.
Donc il y a une affection parentale aussi de la part des reines, mais c'est plus réduit.
Mostly it's Dasyaras.
La plupart, c'est quand même une attitude dasya.
So we read text number 4, and then we go on, of course, once one's established in Dasyaras firmly, then relationship with Krishna may, in other words, anarthas have been destroyed, anartha nivritti is over, Lord Nrsimhadev has destroyed them, and now we're established in reverential, fixed, regulative, devotional service.
Donc avec Nrsimhadev, le travail de Anartha Nivritti, éliminer les choses indésirables et passées.
And naturally
Avec Ramachandra, l'humeur de servitude est apparue.
And naturally one's attraction to Krishna will evolve in due course of time.
Et l'attraction envers Krishna va se développer le temps voulu.
So text number 4. Yat tad vishuddha anubhava matrang ekang svatejasa vasta guna vyavastam pratyak prashantang thudiopa. Oh, that's a long word. Let's see how it's broken down here. How has he broken it down? What's that? Third line?
Sudhiya.
How is it? Where is it? Yeah. Sudhiya. Upalambanam. That's a beautiful word, isn't it? Upalambanam. I like that word. Upalambanam. Yes. Upalambanam. If you remember nothing else from this class, maybe you can remember that word. Upalambanam. What did you learn from this morning? Upalambanam. Take Upalambanam away with you. Upalambanam. Upalambanam. Nice one. He anama rupang nirahang prapadye yatad vishuddhana bhavamatramekang Svatejasad vasaguna vyav. No, that's not right, is it? Svatejasad vasaguna vyavastam. Pratyak prashantam sudiopalambanam. One short of that, or that meter. Anyway, it kind of works. Yanama rupam nirahang prapadye. Yatad vishuddhanubhava matramekang. Spate jasadvashta guna vyavastam. Pratyak prashantang sudiopalambanam. Hyanama rupam nirahang prapadye. Once more. Yatad vishuddhana bhuva mattamekang. Spate jasadvashta guna vyavastam. Pratyak prashantang sudiopalambanam. Yanama rupam nirahang prapadye. Open to anyone who'd like to sing this beautiful verse.
Yattad vishuddhanubhavam matramekam.
Yattad vishuddhanubhava matramekam.
Tatejasad vastaguna vyavastam.
Tatejasad vasaguna vyavastam.
Pratyak prasantam sudiopalambanam.
Pratyak prashantam sudiopalambanam.
Yanama rupam niraram prapadye.
Yanama rupam niraham prapadye. One more. Yattad vishuddhanubhava matramekam. Yanama rupam niraham prapadye. Ladies. Yattad vishuddhanubhava matramekam. Tattejasadvasha guna vyavastam. Pratyak prashantam sudiopalambanam. Yanama rupam nirahang prapadye. I'm not going to read the word for word, it's very long, except for we just mentioned what that beautiful word means. Upalambanam. Who can be achieved?
Who can be achieved?
Nice word, nice meaning. Who can be achieved? Everyone's trying to achieve something. But this verse gives us a clue how the ultimate objective can be achieved.
Donc on peut avoir un aperçu de quel objectif peut être atteint.
So translation, the Lord whose pure form, Satchidananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. Interesting translation of, or a definition of transcendental. He has no material activity, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramchandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet.
Traduction. Le Seigneur, dont la forme pure, Satchidananda Vigraha, n'est pas souillée par les gunas, peut être perçu par une conscience pure. Le Vedanta décrit comme unique des sens du monde, un de par sa puissance spirituelle, il reste à l'abri de toute contamination matérielle et du fait qu'il ne peut être vu par ses yeux matériels, on le dit transcendantal, qui est une définition intéressante du mot transcendantal. Il n'a plus accompli aucun acte matériel, il n'a pas davantage de forme ou de nom matériel. C'est seulement par le biais d'une conscience pure, la conscience de Krishna, qu'il est possible de percevoir la forme transcendantale du Seigneur. Établissons-nous fermement au pied parés au lotus de Ramachandra et offrons-leur notre hommage le plus respectueux.
Our time is not going to allow us to read all of the purport, I'm afraid.
Notre temps ne permet pas de lire toute la teneur et portée.
It's probably on the screen, is it correct? So you can slowly scroll down the screen and come to the second paragraph.
On peut aller au deuxième paragraphe.
The first paragraph is dealing, you could say, with the nature of the Lord and his expansions.
Donc le premier paragraphe décrit la nature du Seigneur et de ses expansions.
And although Lord Krishna is the avatari, he doesn't have four arms, but most of the expansions of the Lord, they are appearing with four arms or some unique form.
Bien que Krishna soit la source de tous les avatars, il n'a que deux bras, mais la plupart de ses émanations apparaissent avec quatre bras.
But Lord Ramchandra appears in a human-like form, just like Krishna.
Et Ramachandra, il apparaît dans une forme humaine, tout comme Krishna.
But here we see from Brahma Samhita Ramadi Murtishu, the form of Lord Ramachandra and others.
Et on peut voir dans la Brahma Samhita, Ramadimurtishu, la forme de Krishna est différente des autres.
In many ways, we could say he's the first, or next to Krishna, he's the next.
Donc on peut dire qu'il est le premier.
I'll read the second paragraph. It's very significant, but especially significant.
Donc le deuxième paragraphe est très significatif.
Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramchandra.
À moins de déborder d'amour pour Dieu, nul ne peut apprécier la grandeur spirituelle de Dieu. On ne peut le voir au moyen des yeux matériels.
Because Ravana therefore attempted to kidnap Lord Ramchandra's eternal consort, Sita Devi.
C'est la raison pour laquelle Ravana tenta d'enlever Sita Devi, la compagne éternelle de Ramachandra.
Now, this is, basically speaking, maybe not to the extent, but the same principle is there in all conditioned souls.
Fondamentalement parlant, ce principe est présent dans toutes les âmes conditionnées.
This mentality of Ravana wanting to enjoy that which belongs to Ram.
La mentalité de Ravana de vouloir se réjouir des propriétés de Ramachandra.
The whole process, you could say, in the Ramayana, in Krishna consciousness also, is to return that which belongs to Krishna.
Donc dans le Ramayana, comme dans la conscience de Krishna, le principe consiste à rendre à Krishna ce qui lui appartient.
And it's not really that anything is, we may think it belongs to us, but ultimately everything belongs to Krishna, even if we think it belongs to us.
Même si on pense que les choses nous appartiennent, on doit comprendre qu'elles appartiennent à Krishna.
It's the false mentality which has to be, let's say, given up.
C'est une fausse mentalité qu'en fait il faut laisser tomber.
That thinking that anything is meant for my enjoyment, anything is mine.
Penser que toute chose est faite pour mon plaisir et que cela m'appartient.
And Ram Raj, people talk about, the kingdom of God, Ram Raj and so on. It's really this mood of understanding that everything that exists is meant for the pleasure of Ram or Krishna.
Le Ram Rajya, ce royaume de Dieu, tout le monde agit avec cette compréhension que tout appartient à Krishna et tout est pour son.
But as long as we have this mentality, we have a little bit of Ravana in us. Huh?
Tant qu'on a cette mentalité, on a
It almost
un peu
sounds
de
Ravana in us sounds like ravenous, doesn't it? We're a little ravenous.
On est des petits Ravanas.
Has to be, you could say, killed.
Et cela doit être détruit.
We're all trying to steal Sita Devi. Huh?
On est tous en train de vouloir voler Sita Devi.
I was just thinking how this is explained at length actually by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India,
C'est expliqué par Chaitanya Mahaprabhu alors qu'il voyageait dans le sud de l'Inde.
he came to one one village. There was one Ramdas Vipra living in this village.
Il y avait un dévot de Ramdas Vipra.
He was a great devotee of Lord Ramchandra,
C'était un grand dévot du Seigneur Ramachandra.
always chanting the names of Lord Ram.
Il chantait toujours ses saints noms.
Lord Chaitanya took prasadam in his house.
Et le Seigneur Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
But when he arrived there,
à la maison et quand il est arrivé là,
the Brahmin invited him to the house, but Lord Ram came, Lord Chaitanya came, there was nothing had been cooked.
et quand
Then Ramdas explained, well, he felt like committing suicide, he said, because he's been going on a long time, but the fact that Mother Sita Devi was touched by the Rakshasa Ravana, he couldn't bear it. He was fasting.
Et en fait, Ramachandra Vipra expliquait à Chaitanya Mahaprabhu qu'il ne pouvait pas supporter l'idée de savoir que Ravana avait enlevé Sita et il jeûnait pour ça.
So Lord Chaitanya tried to console him.
Et Chaitanya
He was on the verge of death.
essayait de le consoler, il était vraiment sur
No,
le point
no,
de
no.
mourir.
Ravana didn't touch Sita.
Et il lui a dit, non, Ravana n'a pas touché
He
Sita.
can't touch. Sita's totally transcendental.
Il ne peut pas toucher qui est totalement transcendantal.
Nobody with material vision can see her. What to speak of touch her?
Personne avec une vision matérielle ne peut même la voir, que dire de la toucher.
We'll hear a little bit more about that later, but he tried to console, and so eventually the Brahmana was kind of somewhat consoled,
Donc il a essayé de le consoler, ce qui
and he cooked,
réussi,
and Lord Chaitanya took some prasad.
et il a cuisiné, et Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a pris du prasad.
But then when Lord Chaitanya was in Rameshwaram, he came across the Kurma Purana,
Et quand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu était à Rameshwar, il est tombé sur le
And
Kurma
there-
Purana,
it clearly explained what happened.
et qui a clairement expliqué ce qui se passait.
That when Ravana came, Sita gave him like a reflection of herself.
Donc quand Ravana est venu, Sita a donné un reflet d'elle-même.
Maya, probably used the word Maya Sita.
On peut dire une Maya Sita.
The same thing when Brahma stole the calves and cow boys. They were Maya calves. They were Maya cow boys. They weren't the original ones.
Tout comme Brahma, quand il a enlevé les vaches et les veaux et les pâtres,
He
il y avait
thought
Maya.
he had Sita.
Il pensait qu'il avait Sita.
And he thought, I can enjoy now.
Et il s'est dit, je peux m'en réjouir.
Because he wasn't even able to enjoy, but
Mais il a même
he
pas
thought
pu,
he could.
mais il pensait qu'il pourrait.
Everyone thinks they've got, the wealth,
Obtenu,
the goddess of fortune.
déesse de la fortune.
Fools. So as Ravana, it's a meditation I had, as Ravana only stole a reflection of Sita Devi,
Il avait enlevé
he didn't steal the real Sita. The real Sita that was protected, as you may know,
la réelle était protégée.
that Lakshman, who is none other than Balaram or Nityananda, the original guru, drew a circle, right? Circle of fire.
De feu.
No one can come into that circle.
Personne ne pouvait traverser.
Sita Devi didn't step outside. Maya Sita went outside.
Sita Devi n'est pas sortie, c'est Maya Devi qui est sortie.
And then the whole pastime unfolded. But
Et tout le divertissement s'est déroulé.
the real Sita Devi was still there,
La Sita Devi
unseen,
était
unmanifested.
là, invisible, non manifestée.
And then when finally Ramchandra defeated Ravana, and Hanuman went and brought Sita to the test, the final test,
Et donc quand Rama a vaincu
to see her
Ravana,
chastity.
et que Hanuman a été chercher Sita,
She had to
Hanuman,
enter into the fire.
au final, il l'a fait rentrer dans le feu.
And of course this was horrendous. Nobody could, what is this? Lord Ram saying she has to enter into the fire to test her chastity.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça Ram veut faire traverser un feu pour vérifier sa chasteté.
Nobody knew what was going on. What is this?
Personne ne comprenait ce qui allait se passer.
But the Maya Sita entered into the fire and the real Sita came out.
Mais la Maya Sita est rentrée dans le feu et la vraie Sita
Because she was
sortie.
protected by Agni Dev.
Parce qu'elle était protégée par Agni
The
Dev.
fire around the cottage.
Le feu autour de la hutte.
So then she came out again.
Ensuite, elle est ressortie de Agni Dev.
So as Ravana, he only got a reflection of Sita Devi because he was offensive.
Et Ravana, il a eu seulement un reflet de Sita Devi parce qu'il était offensant.
Interesting analogy which I was thinking of is that when we're chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, and we're offensive,
Une chose similaire quand on chante le Mahamantra et qu'on accomplit les offenses.
what do we get?
Qu'est-ce qu'on obtient?
A reflection of the holy name.
On obtient un reflet du holy name.
The Lord does not reveal himself. It looks like it, but it's like a Maya Sita. We're getting a reflection
Ça
like that.
ressemble, mais c'est seulement comme une Maya Sita.
Anyway, it's a useful application to think on. And also another thought I had was that
C'est une application à
as Lakshman is the, you could say, the original guru,
tout comme Lakshman est le gourou originel.
and the guru gives us a circle of protection. Huh? You stay within this circle,
Protection, si on reste
you're
dans
protected.
vous êtes protégé.
You step outside of it,
Si vous sortez de ce cercle de protection,
you're in danger.
vous êtes en danger.
Isn't it?
C'est pas
What do you think? Right, Krishna Charana? It's the same thing.
C'est la même chose.
Same thing. You fall into Maya.
On tombe dans Maya.
As soon as we step outside that circle of protection,
Si on sort de ce cercle de protection,
we may think we're all right, but we're in Maya.
on peut penser qu'on va bien, mais en fait, on est
Same
dans Maya.
thing. We're caught by Maya.
On est capturé par Maya.
So when we disobey the instructions, as Sita appeared to have done in one sense,
Et quand on désobéit l'instruction,
then you get caught by Ravana,
dans un certain sens, et qu'on est capturé par Ravana,
by the material energy, sense enjoyment.
par l'énergie matérielle, et c'est le plaisir des sens.
I'll read on a little bit more. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hand, she gave him a material form. And we've already gone through it. We don't need to go through it again. So this principle of verse is mentioned a little further down. Famous verse from the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santak sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yang shama sundaram achinchagunashvarupam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. We chant it regularly if you're doing daily worship especially.
Donc on chante régulièrement ce verset de la Brahma Samhita, particulièrement si on fait l'adoration des déités.
But let's look at the meaning.
Et regardez la signification.
I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamsundar, situated within the heart of the devotee.
Voyez la traduction. J'adore Govinda, le Seigneur originel qu'on nomme Shyamasundar. Il est Krishna lui-même et ses innombrables attributs restent inconcevables. C'est lui que voient au fond de leur cœur les purs bhaktas, dont les yeux sont loin du baume de l'amour et de la dévotion.
And of course, if you're a worshipper of Lord Ram, the same principle applies. The Lord will appear as Ram within your Sita Ram within your heart.
De la même façon, si on adore le Seigneur Ramachandra, de la même façon, il va apparaître dans notre cœur en tant que Sitaram.
So, in one sense, our objective in life is to come to that platform, pure love of God.
Donc, dans un sens, notre but,
Krishna
c'est
Pamartu Mahana, the goal of life.
le but de Krishna Prema.
That's our only goal.
C'est notre seul but.
And what it means, that's a subject in itself, but
Parce que cela
Let's-
c'est un sujet à part entière.
I wanted to read several more verses, but time is not going to allow.
Je voulais lire plusieurs autres versets, mais le temps ne nous
They
le permet pas.
expand on this point a little bit, and they explain more about the Lord's purposes.
Donc donne après ses objectifs.
But as it's said by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Yavan Atu Dapane Sarvatak Samplatodike, all purposes are served to one who knows the goal behind it.
Donc dans la Bhagavad Gita, Krishna le confirme que tous les objectifs sont accomplis simplement par un seul.
One who knows the goal of the Vedas knows all the purposes of the Vedas.
Donc celui qui connaît le but des Védas connaît tous ses objectifs.
Not need to make a separate endeavor.
Pas besoin de faire un effort séparé.
Vedeshu yagyeshu tapasachaiva dhaneshu yat punya palam parishtam. Everything is contained in the path of bhakti.
Tout est contenu dans le sentier de la bhakti.
Valmiki is the compiler of the Ramayana.
Valmiki, c'est celui qui a compilé le Ramayana.
And how did he become empowered, you could say, to present the Ramayana?
Comment il a été mis en pouvoir pour compiler le Ramayana?
I'm not sure what's in this word. It's got a unique taste to it. I don't know what it's got. Very strange. Not unpalatable. It's very odd. What did he do?
Donc qu'est-ce qu'il a fait, Valmiki?
He chanted the name of Ram.
Mara, 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 Rama. He was a hunter. He was a hunter.
C'était un chasseur.
A long story, huh?
C'est une longue histoire.
He used to kill animals.
Il tuait des animaux.
Okay, he couldn't chant Rama Ram.
Il ne pouvait pas chanter.
So you
Rama,
chant
Rama.
Mara, Mara, death.
Chanter Mara, Mara.
Death, death, death,
Mort,
death,
mort,
death.
mort.
Chanting over and over again, it also turned into Rama, 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 Mara, Mara, Rama, 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 something like that. Hurry up, death, hurry up, death, hurry, death, hurry, death.
Très proche de Harry, un jeu de mots anglais.
He became purified by the vibration.
Donc il a été purifié par la vibration.
And that's a long story.
C'est une longue histoire.
But you will become purified, so that purification of the consciousness is there.
Donc il doit y avoir cette purification de la conscience.
So to teach us how we can actually get the darshan of Radha and Krishna, to show, we may talk and do this and that, but what is the process of the actual darshan of the Lord? We were talking about drashta, drishya, and darshana the other day. So what is the real darshan?
Donc ça nous montre le processus. Pour avoir le darshan de Krishna, cela prend beaucoup de temps à... On peut en parler, mais c'est
Which is mentioned in this verse, Premanjana Chuta Bhakti Vilochanena.
mentionné dans ce verset.
That the Lord within the heart, constantly, it's not that you're not thinking, I want to see the Lord. You can see nothing else.
Donc dans ce verset, c'est voir le Seigneur dans le cœur et pas seulement le voir une fois, mais ne voir rien d'autre que lui.
How does that evolve? How does it happen?
Comment est-ce que ça arrive?
We could say, yes, we hear the pastimes of Ramayana. This purifies our heart.
On peut dire oui, on a entendu les divertissements.
Cleanses our hearts. I'll read a
Dans
verse.
notre cœur.
This is a beautiful verse, also from the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam.
Verset du 9e chant du Srimad Bhagavatam,
11th chapter, text 23.
chapitre 11, verset 23.
Sukadeva Goswami says, O King Parikshit, anyone who orally, that means through the ears, receives the narration concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramchandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activity. Pretty powerful.
Parikshit, quiconque écoute oralement des récits concernant les caractéristiques des divertissements du Seigneur Ramachandra, en fin de compte, sera libéré de la maladie de l'envie, mais aussi sera libéré de toutes les chaînes des activités intéressées.
Doesn't apply to me. I'm not envious. Right?
Cela ne me concerne pas, je ne suis pas
I don't have any bondage of fruitive activities.
j'ai aucun lien avec
Right.
les activités intéressées,
Right?
n'est-ce pas?
Anyone here? Anyone here? Anyone agree?
Il y a quelqu'un là qui est d'accord?
Anyone agree? I don't have any envy. It's them. They're envious of me.
Je n'ai aucune envie. c'est
Where's
eux
my
qui sont
green
envieux de
coat?
moi.
I was wearing a slightly green coat this morning. They say green with envy, huh? English we say green with envy. But when you hear about the green Lord Ramchandra, your green envy heart becomes
Quand on entend
purified.
le gris du Seigneur Ramachandra, à force, notre cœur va devenir purifié.
It's like that with a lot of things. You know, we hear about the lusty affairs of Krishna. It can cure your own lusty affairs if you hear it properly.
Donc si on écoute les activités amoureuses du Seigneur Krishna, ça va purifier notre concupiscence.
You hear about all the killing of the demons. They all represent different anarthas, you know,
Si on entend détruire tous les différents démons,
which we have.
ça correspond aux différentes anarthas,
Helps to get rid of them.
et ça permet de
Helps.
d'éliminer.
Of course, we have to do a little bit more than that, in a sense.
On doit faire un petit peu plus que cela.
So when we hear about, you know, myself, I don't know about you, but monkey mentality.
Vous avez entendu parler de la mentalité.
When we hear about the monkeys fighting for Lord Ram, killing the demons,
On a vu les singes qui
purifying.
sont battus pour Ram et qui tuaient les démons.
everything about the pastimes of Lord Rama have a lesson to learn. There's unlimited lessons in Ramayana.
Donc, chaque partie du
So many.
divertissement de Ramayana, il y a
Go
des
on and on and on.
leçons.
Every pastime has a living lesson.
A une leçon vivante.
So, who wants to be freed of envy? Anybody?
Qui veut être libre
Oh, Mananda doesn't want to be free of envy. He likes it. As he's been associated with me too long, that's why.
Vous êtes associé trop longtemps avec moi, c'est pour ça.
Who wants to be free of the bondage of fruit of activity?
Qui veut être libre
Oh,
des activités
oh.
forcées?
Most of us are trying to get bound up in it. More money, more wealth, more properties, more this. My. What about me? Me is envy. My is mine. Huh?
On veut de plus en plus de choses, plus en plus d'argent, plus en plus de moi, je, mien.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a good way. Relish the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra. Hear the Ramayana over and over again. There are many devotees today. We are, especially in some parts of India, Fiji too. They go read again and again and again and again and again and again the Ramayana.
Et on peut voir dans certaines parties de l'Inde, Fidji ou différents endroits comme ça, des personnes, ils écoutent les divertissements de Ram encore et encore et sans cesse.
That's good, but there's a missing link.
C'est bon, mais il y a un lien qui manque.
What's the missing link?
C'est quoi le lien manquant? Le chaînon manquant? Holy name.
They're chanting Ram Ram,
Chanter Ram Ram,
Ram Nam.
Nam Nam.
Missing link.
C'est le chaînon manquant.
Many people read the Krishna book, not Krishna book exactly, Bhagavatam, some translation or in original language or whatever. Many people read Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana.
Beaucoup de gens
Something's
lisent
missing,
le
though.
Bhagavatam, le livre de Krishna, le Bhagavad Gita, le Ramayana.
There's something that's good, you can say is good, and there's something there.
De bien, c'est
But
bien.
still that major change is not taking place.
Mais pourquoi le changement majeur n'intervient pas?
Envy and freedom from bondage is not seemingly taking place.
C'est parce que l'envie et puis la libération des liens liés aux activités intéressées ne prend pas place.
What is that? Bhakti, yeah. Well, they'll say, oh, this is bhakti. Oh, bhakti, hearing is bhakti.
C'est de la bhakti, écoutez.
Pardon? Parampara, put that in more specific terminology.
It doesn't consider Lord Rama as a supreme.
Well, they may or may not do that. But I was talking about the point Sundar made, parampara. You have to hear from a bona fide source.
Donc on doit entendre d'une source autorisée.
And not just hearing, but service. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita?
Pas seulement écouter, mais aussi servir. Qu'est-ce que dit Krishna dans la Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, you have to hear, and you also have to submissively hear and surrender and render service.
Et offrir un service avec soumission.
This is how the Lord reveals himself
C'est comme ça que le Seigneur se révèle lui-même
and cleanses the simultaneous, cleanses the heart
et simultanément nettoie le
and
cœur
reveals the truth.
et révèle la vérité.
They go on simultaneously, step by
Cela
step.
va ensemble.
When our attitude is the attitude which counts.
Donc c'est
attitude.
l'attitude qui compte.
the missing link. That submissive attitude.
Donc une attitude
As
soumise.
Prabhupada said, we have to hear in the mood of Arjuna, isn't it?
La Prabhupada dit, on doit
If we want to
écouter
understand
l'attitude
Bhagavad Gita.
d'Arjuna.
So similarly, I'm just going to use one example today in the little time
De la
we've
même
got.
façon, je vais utiliser un exemple aujourd'hui parce qu'on n'a pas trop.
Of all the devotees of Lord Ramchandra,
Parmi tous les dévots de Rama,
probably, I mean, some may have a different opinion for
probablement,
bona fide reasons.
d'autres
But
personnes
generally speaking, who would be considered the greatest devotee of Lord Ram?
considérés comme le plus grand dévot de Rama.
Hanuman! Hanuman. Who other than Hanuman? Hanuman is the personification of Dasya Ras.
Hanuman est la personnification du Dasyaras.
Prabhupada explains how these eternal associates of the Lord appear. Whenever the Lord appears, they appear to assist the Lord in his pastimes.
Donc, où que le Seigneur apparaît, il apparaît pour l'assister dans ses divertissements.
We may not recognize them.
Peut-être nous ne le reconnaissons pas.
They may have different roles in different pastimes, you
Il peut
could
avoir
say.
un rôle différent dans
But that
différents-
particular potency of Dasya Ras
Mais cette énergie de l'attitude de
is
service
personified in Hanuman.
est personnifiée dans Hanuman.
Is absolute.
Elle est absolue.
Is not mixed with the other rasas.
Elle n'est pas mélangée avec d'autres rasas.
We see in Krishna Lila, Hanuman appears in Krishna Lila. Where does he appear in
Hanuman apparaît
Krishna
dans le
Lila?
divertissement de Krishna.
You could say he's one of the monkeys in Vrindavan.
On peut dire que c'est un singe à
Maybe. Actually, it's funny, isn't it? We get really upset with the monkeys in Vrindavan sometimes. Have you ever got upset with a monkey in
Il n'a
Vrindavan?
pas été dérangé par les singes à Vrindavan.
If you wear, I've mentioned it there, if you wear glasses, you quite often get upset.
Si vous portez
But believe me, you've got to be careful now. Give me a mobile phone. If you're walking around like this, you've got to be careful.
ça, vous devez être vraiment
That
prudent.
monkey will steal your mobile now.
Voler votre portable,
They steal mobiles,
voler des portables,
cameras,
des appareils
anything that has value.
photo, tout ce qui a de la valeur.
You know, so be careful. It's not just glasses anymore.
Ça va pas durer longtemps.
They stole my glasses. I was holding my glasses like this,
Je portais mes lunettes comme ça.
and the guy ripped out my glasses out their hand like that.
Tirais mes lunettes.
I thought they only took them from the faces, but you know. And Shruti Kirti Prabhu was with me, and he looked. He said, "Oh my God, I've got my glasses in my pocket. They were sticking out." He said, "They steal them out your pocket also."
Ils le volent dans les poches aussi.
So nowhere safe in this world. Those monkeys, you know that Krishna sat there feeding the monkeys,
Donc Krishna, vous savez qu'il
right?
est là,
Damodar Lila.
dans
Personally, Krishna's feeding the monkeys.
Krishna nourrissait personnellement les singes.
So this is Krishna paying back for the service they rendered.
C'est Krishna qui remboursait en fait leur attitude de service.
He said, "I can never repay you." Never.
Il dit je ne pourrai jamais vous rembourser.
Personally feeding them,
Et il
Butter.
le nourrissait personnellement.
sweets and so on.
Des sucreries.
They are teaching ideal dasyaras.
Il enseigne le parfait Dasyara.
And amongst those, of course, Hanuman is very, very special.
Parmi tout cela, Hanuman est vraiment très spécial.
He came as the flag, and that's a very interesting story.
Donc c'est une histoire très
On the
intéressante.
Battle of Kurukshetra,
Comment Hanuman apparaît comme le drapeau.
Hanuman made this promise. It's a long story.
Hanuman a fait
Now,
la promesse, c'est une longue
This
histoire.
story is in the Ramayana,
Cette histoire est dans le Ramayana.
not in every Ramayana, but in
Dans tous les Ramayana.
extended Ramayans. How, actually, this is in the Mahabharata, not the Ramayana.
En fait, c'est dans le Mahabharata.
In the Mahabharata, it tells how
Dans le Mahabharata, ça explique que
during the exile, the Pandavas, Arjuna also was accumulating celestial weapons.
donc, dans leur exil, Arjuna avait collecté beaucoup d'armes célestes.
And he'd gone to the heavenly planets to acquire celestial weapons.
Il s'est rendu sur les planètes édéniques pour obtenir.
In the
ces
meantime, the other Pandavas and Draupadi, they'd gone. They're in exile, they were going to different places. They went high up into the hidden regions of the Himalayas.
armes. Et pendant ce temps-là, les Pandavas, ils se déplaçaient tout le temps. Ils sont allés dans les régions supérieures des Himalayas.
They generally were in Kamyavan, but they'd gone up into the realms beyond, way beyond norm.
Donc, ils sont généralement à Kamyavan, dans la forêt, mais ils sont allés
And there was this incredible scent.
Et il y avait un sein incroyable
Came from a 10,000, I think 10,000 or 1,000? 10,000 petal lotus.
qui était sur un lotus à parfum. Ah, le parfum, scent.
Fragrance.
Ah, oh, d'accord. Donc c'était pas un sein, c'était un parfum. Le parfum
Draupadi very much wanted this to get
lotus.
this lotus or a lotus. So
Et il voulait vraiment obtenir ce lotus.
they were beyond human reach.
C'était au-delà de la portée des
But
humains.
Bhima is not an ordinary living entity any more than Hanuman is.
Mais Bhima n'est pas un être humain ordinaire, pas plus que Hanuman.
In fact, they're one and different.
En fait, ils sont un et égaux.
They both appeared from the same father, Vayu,
Ils ont le même père, Vayu,
and they're the same potency.
et ils ont la même puissance.
Basically, Madhvacharya also same potency. He's
Madhvacharya aussi avait la même puissance.
He's also Hanuman,
C'est aussi Hanuman.
or a percentage of the Shakti of Hanuman manifested therein.
Ou la Shakti de Hanuman manifestée en eux.
So Bhima went off to get this into the hills, and very powerful Bhima,
Donc
pounding
Bhima
away.
s'est rendu dans les montagnes, très puissant.
Not afraid of roaring, not afraid of all the lions and tigers, nothing. He's fearless, fearless, fearless.
Personne, les lions, les tigres, sans peur.
And then on the path, suddenly the path was blocked.
Et soudain, sur le chemin, il a été bloqué.
There was a big old monkey, not so big, but a pretty big monkey, lying on the footpath with his big tail, like, blocking the whole pathway.
Il y avait un vieux singe qui était allongé sur le chemin et il avait sa queue qui encombrait tout le passage.
Hey, monkey, get out the way.
Et singe, débarrasse-toi.
Bhima was a bit arrogant, you could say. He wouldn't cross over him because,
Un petit peu arrogant, mais
it's not right to step over another body.
parce que c'est pas approprié de.
The Lord is in there, so devotees don't step over other devotees' legs, for
Donc,
instance.
par exemple, les dévots n'enjambent pas la jambe d'un autre dévot, par exemple.
So he wouldn't do that. He said, get out the way.
Donc il ne ferait pas ça, donc il lui a dit, pousse-toi.
And he said, no, no. He wouldn't get out the way, he said.
Le singe ne bougeait pas.
And Bhima became a little angry, and he said, look, I'll kill you, if you don't get out of the way, basically. He said, okay. If you want to get through, why are you so powerful? Well, you just pick up my tail. I'm too old. I can't move. I'm too old. I'm sick. Just pick up my tail, move it, and go on your way.
Alors le singe lui a dit, mais si tu veux vraiment passer, moi je suis vieux, prends ma queue puis déplace-la, puis tu peux
Bhima
passer.
just grabbed the tail with his left hand, thinking, what is this? I just throw this monkey into the distance. He was going to whirl him around with the intention of killing him with his
Il m'a
tail.
pris la queue avec sa main gauche en se disant,
Did this monkey think he is blocking me in the way of my service?
il dit, qu'est-ce que c'est ce singe qui me bloque dans mon
With
service?
his,
Je vais le tourner en l'air et l'envoyer.
couldn't move it an inch. 2 arms. All of his strength. Couldn't move it an inch.
Et puis il le pouvait déplacer.
What is this?
Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe?
What is going on? Who are you?
Qui es-tu?
And he declared himself, of course, as being none other than Hanuman.
Et il a déclaré que je suis personne d'autre.
Bhima became ecstatic, but he paid his obeisances and became ecstatic.
Et Bhima a été pris des.
Because they're brothers. They're brothers.
Ils sont frères.
Same father.
Ils ont le même père.
So Bhima very much then was humbled. Actually, this was all the arrangement
Donc Bhima s'est senti très humble.
of Garuda. The Lord wanted to show the devotees what real humility is and the greatness of Hanuman.
Donc les dévots montrent qu'est-ce que c'est vraiment l'humilité.
So then he wanted to see the form of Hanuman that jumped over to Lanka.
Et après il a voulu voir la forme de Hanuman qui a sauté jusqu'à Lanka.
Hanuman explained, no, this is a different age. He explained all the different ages and the symptoms. He spoke a lot of philosophy. Hanuman was expert in philosophy.
Hanuman il a commencé à dire non, c'était
Wasn't just an
un
ordinary
singe.
monkey.
Hanuman il est très expert en philosophie, il a commencé à lui parler.
Not an ordinary monkey. Huh?
C'est pas un singe ordinaire.
And he said, well, this is a different age.
Mais c'était dans un âge différent.
Then he explained all the different characteristics of the age, but still Bhima insisted, please, please, my brother, please show me. I want to see you in that form.
Il a commencé à expliquer les différences de tous les âges, de la philosophie, tout ça, et Bim lui a dit non, non, s'il te plaît, montre-moi ta forme.
We heard earlier on how Hanuman in Rohini is very small. It's big, maybe.
Donc je vous ai dit tout à l'heure que Hanuman à Rohini, il est vraiment.
But then Hanuman said, "All right, then." He started to expand himself. Bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, Bhima was this big, and Hanuman was beyond sight practically. He was so huge. He said, "I'll stop there. I could expand a lot more, but this is enough." Huge form. He could expand. The eternal associate of the Lord. He's not conditioned, as Krishna is not conditioned, as we just heard, by the modes of nature. Neither are the pure devotees, neither is eternal associates. They're also not.
Un compagnon du Seigneur, il n'est pas limité comme on l'est dans le monde matériel. Le Krishna, il est aussi grand qu'il veut, il est illimité, et ses dévots aussi peuvent être illimités. Ils ne sont pas limités par le.
I know many of you are going to start filtering out shortly, but I'll carry on. I'm going to read now from Briyat Bhagavatamrita.
Donc, je vais lire maintenant du Briyat Bhagavatamrita.
You may know, some of you have read the Briyat Bhagavatamrita. Who's read the Briyat Bhagavatamrita? Sanatana Goswami. Quite a few of you. And you probably remember the thread of the pastime of Gopakumar. And you could say he was on a journey to search out the ultimate purpose of his existence. And one by one he was meeting up or coming in contact with various devotees or different levels of consciousness.
Donc un par un, il rencontrait différents dévots avec différents niveaux de conscience.
And each time he would go somewhere, some devotee would generally advise him, if you want that, this devotee is much better than I am, you go to them. The mood of a devotee.
À chaque niveau, chaque dévot disait, si tu veux connaître plus de dévotion, va voir tel autre dévot, et il progressait comme ça.
So he'd come to the planet Harivarsh, where Prahlad Maharaj is worshipping Lord Nrsimhadeva.
Donc il est venu à l'endroit Harivarsha où le dévot adorait.
Harivarsha, Harivamsa is a scripture. So there, Prahlad Maharaj advised him, my devotion is nothing compared to Hanuman.
Prahlad Maharaj a dit, ma dévotion, elle n'a rien à voir comparé à
You should go there. There, from him, you'll receive real bhakti, real devotion.
Là, tu devrais aller le voir, et là, tu pourrais recevoir la vraie bhakti, la vraie dévotion.
Actually, this is a story. Please consider the Lord's mercy on Hanuman of the Kimpurushas. This is a story within a story.
Donc c'est une histoire à l'intérieur de l'histoire.
This is actually a story, I don't know, I can't remember all the details, I just picked up this bit. This is actually Narada Muni who's going on this journey at this point.
Donc là, c'était Narada Muni spécifiquement qui allait d'un dévot à l'autre.
Since Narada is intent on finding the true recipient of the Supreme Lord's mercy.
Du fait que Narada Muni essayait de trouver le véritable récipient de la miséricorde du Seigneur suprême.
Prahlad Maharaj said, the Supreme Lord appeared suddenly in his form of Nrsimhadev just to kill my father.
Donc Prahlad Maharaj a dit, le Seigneur est apparu sous la forme de Nrsimhadev juste pour tuer.
But then he disappeared.
Mais ensuite il a disparu.
Prahlad Maharaj being the eternal servant, but he disappeared. He just came to kill Hiranyakashipu, stayed for a while, then disappeared. So he found himself very unfortunate.
Il est venu, Nrsimhadev, il a tué Hiranyakashipu, puis après il est disparu.
Then I hadn't been able to see my Lord directly whenever I wanted.
Donc je suis pas capable de voir le Seigneur directement à chaque fois que je veux.
But Hanuman is much more fortunate.
Mais Hanuman, il est beaucoup plus fortuné.
For many thousands of years, he's enjoyed serving the Lord constantly without obstruction.
Parce que pendant plusieurs Pendant milliers d'années, il était capable de servir le Seigneur constamment, sans
Yeah.
aucune obstruction.
When Lord Ram went back to Ayodhya, Hanuman was able to stay there.
Quand Hanuman est revenu à Ayodhya, quand Ram est venu à Ayodhya, Hanuman a été capable d'être avec lui.
He's the most powerful person.
C'est la personne la plus puissante.
When he was just a child, the demigods favored him with several wonderful benedictions.
Quand il était seulement un enfant, les dévas eux-mêmes l'ont béni de plusieurs bénédictions.
Thus he became immune to old age and death.
C'est comme ça qu'il est devenu immunisé contre la vieillesse et la
They
mort.
all gave him various, special weapons, special immunity from this and that.
Les autres, ils obtiennent différentes bénédictions, ils ont des armes spéciales, ils ont une immunité contre ceci ou cela.
Now it said it's more beneficial and more effective to hear about the glories of the devotees than it is to hear the glories of the Lord.
Et il est dit que c'est même beaucoup plus bénéfique d'écouter les gloires des dévots, même que d'écouter les gloires du Seigneur.
Krishna is much more pleased to see his devotees glorified.
Krishna, il est beaucoup plus satisfait de voir ses dévots glorifiés.
So he's happy, very happy. Lord Chaitanya himself, again and again, was with thousands of tongues. It's like he had thousands. He would glorify the devotees over and over.
Le Seigneur Chaitanya lui-même, il semblait avoir des milliers de langues en train de glorifier tous les dévots encore et encore.
If we really want to attract the attention of Lord Ramchandra or Krishna, and we hear the glories and repeat those glories of his devotees.
Donc si vous voulez obtenir la miséricorde de Krishna ou de Ramachandra, vous devez écouter, apprécier les gloires de leurs dévots.
So let's hear something about the greatness of Hanuman.
Donc écoutons la grandeur de Hanuman.
He is free of all fear.
Il est libre de toute peur.
Anyone like to be free of fear?
Quelqu'un aimerait être libre de la peur?
Well, there's a famous verse in the Ramayana,
Il y a un verset célèbre dans le Ramayana
spoken by the Lord himself.
qui est énoncé par le Seigneur
The
lui-même.
Lord says, "To whomever even once surrenders to me, pleading, I am yours, I give eternal fearlessness."
Donc à quiconque s'abandonne ne serait-ce qu'une fois à moi, me proclamant comme je lui appartiens,
As
je lui
Krishna
donne
says,
d'être sans peur éternellement.
as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the same thing, doesn't he? 18th chapter.
Dans la Bhagavad Gita,
Sarva dharmam parityagya.
la même chose.
I remove all fear, but it's complete surrender,
J'enlève toutes les peurs,
not conditional
avec
surrender.
un abandon complet.
That's a
Pas
pretty big
un
step,
abandon,
isn't it? Pretty big jump.
Donc ça c'est un
It's
travail
like jumping across the ocean to Lanka or something.
comme si on devait sauter jusqu'à Sri Lanka.
Complete faith in the Lord, my only protector.
Une foi complète dans le Seigneur qui est mon seul protecteur.
We still hold on to our insurance policies and our this and our that.
Et nous, on s'accroche encore à nos polices d'assurance.
Not to say you shouldn't have them, but still,
Je ne dis pas qu'il ne faut pas en avoir.
we can't depend on these things. This, Lord Ram says, this is my solemn vow.
Et Krishna dit, c'est mon
Ramchandra says, this is my solemn vow.
Ramachandra qui dit ça.
So freed of fear. He maintains great vows,
Et il maintient des grands vœux
referring to Hanuman. And he performs auspicious deeds.
et il accomplit des actes exceptionnels.
Don't forget, this is Dasyaras,
Rappelez-vous, c'est dans le Dasyaras,
perfect, 100% pure Dasyaras.
c'est le 100% Dasyaras pur.
There's practically, you could say there's a little bit of what we say, no, it's Dasyaras. A little bit of parental, protective nature, but basically it's pure Dasyaras with a little bit of favorable mixture.
Il y a peut-être un mix, un mélange avec de la rasa parentale, mais c'est quand même le Dasyaras.
Outstanding among heroes, he is an exceptional servant of the Lord of the Raghus.
Donc, très grand parmi tous les héros, il est un serviteur exceptionnel du Seigneur des Raghus, de la dynastie Raghu.
With playful disregard, he jumped across thousands of miles of fathomless ocean.
Sans s'en préoccuper s'occuper de quoi que ce soit, il a sauté des milliers de kilomètres au-dessus de l'océan déchaîné.
How geographically, how does that compute with the present-day Lanka?
Donc,
How far is it off the coast?
par rapport au
100 miles?
Maintenant, quelle est la proportion? C'est à combien? 100 kilomètres de la côte?
It states in Rama it's 1,000 yojanas.
Dans le Ramayana, ça dit que c'est à 1000 yojana.
So is that the same place, or is this
Est-ce que c'est le même endroit?
have they come closer?
Ou alors est-ce que ça s'est rapproché de l'Inde?
Again, hard to tell.
À nouveau, difficile à dire.
So he jumped thousands of miles.
Donc il a sauté des milliers de kilomètres.
Hanuman had this, another aspect of Dasya, is even Krishna takes the role of Dasya in relationship to his devotees. He's a messenger.
Donc un autre aspect de ce Dasyara, c'est qu'il joue aussi le rôle de messager.
Devotees are messengers.
Les dévots sont des messagers.
You're going out with a message of Krishna consciousness.
Ils sortent avec le message de la conscience de Krishna.
Take this book.
Prenez ce livre.
And, you're going to expect some opposition. Hanuman had a lot of opposition.
Vous pouvez vous attendre à des oppositions.
He was a messenger. He went to see Sita to bring the ring of Ram to Sita Devi and assure her that, Ram is coming.
Pour amener l'anneau à Sita Devi.
There was opposition.
Ramachandra allait venir. Il a rencontré
Well, the
beaucoup
opposition is there. Even when Balaram went as a messenger to Duryodhana, to the Kauravas in Hastinapura, there was opposition.
Même Balaram, quand il s'est rendu à Hastinapur pour donner
Oftentimes.
Krishna, il a rencontré beaucoup d'opposition.
Messengers are often,
Les messagers,
depends what their message is, it's something opposed to what the, let's say, the receivers want, then there's going to be opposition.
donc si il amène un message qui est opposé au désir du destinataire, il va y avoir beaucoup d'opposition.
It wasn't good news that Ram was coming.
C'était pas une bonne nouvelle que Ram allait venir.
Not good news. Krishna is coming. Take this book.
C'est pas une bonne nouvelle. Krishna arrive, prenez ce livre.
Basically, that's what we're saying. Here's Krishna. No.
On dit, voilà Krishna.
Arrest him.
Non,
Burn his tail.
arrêtez-le. Brûlez sa
Kill him.
queue. Tuez-le.
Objections are there. Messengers are often not an easy job sometimes. But Hanuman's a perfect messenger. Again and again, he was sent as a messenger by Lord Ram here and there.
Donc le messager, il reçoit beaucoup d'objections et il a été envoyé ici et là pour délivrer différents messages.
He boldly threatened his enemies. He burned Lanka and destroyed its citadel. When he brought back news of Sita, he received his master's deep embrace.
Et il a audacieusement menacé ses ennemis, brûlé Lanka et détruit toute la citadelle.
The one
Et
who's
quand il a amené la nouvelle à propos de Sita, il a été reçu par son maître avec une
So one who becomes a messenger, you could say, a messenger of the... Prabhupada was a messenger, the very boat that he went on, what's it called? Jaladut.
un messager qui a été courageusement sur le Jaladuta.
Very interesting name, huh? You know what that means, Jaladuta?
Ça veut dire Jaladuta?
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Messenger of water.
Yeah, messenger of the ocean.
Le messager de l'océan.
One who crosses the ocean, bringing a message across the ocean, we could say.
Donc ça a amené
Interesting.
le messager à
Hanuman jumped across the ocean with a message. Prabhupada also crossed the ocean with a message.
comme Hanuman a sauté pour délivrer son message au-dessus de l'océan, Srila Prabhupada aussi a traversé l'océan pour donner son message.
Similar but different, you could say, but the same principles there. Huh?
On peut dire c'est pas différent, mais le même
Prabhupada was a
principe
messenger.
là.
We're all following Prabhupada's footsteps. We're all trying to be following that footstep, Dasi Ras.
Et ensuite, dans les traces de Srila Prabhupada, on est des messagers, on est dans le
And this what attracts the Lord's mercy
et c'est ce qui attire la
to
miséricorde.
reveal himself to us according to our relationship.
Et c'est ce qui nous révèle notre relation particulière.
He boldly, yeah, we read that. Let's see, we're going to have to jump forward. It was Hanuman who acted as his Lord's best carrier. He carried the Lord on his on his back, on his shoulders.
Donc c'est Hanuman qui a agi aussi comme son meilleur des porteurs.
His tail. It was Hanuman who acted as his Lord's best carrier. His tail serving as a royal white umbrella.
Donc sa queue servait comme un parasol royal.
He had a big tail, very big tail. If you see, we were at a program in Vrindavan recently with Kadamba Kanamaj's disciples, and it was difficult to have programs there with the monkeys, you know, so many monkeys are around. So what do they do to keep the monkeys away? Different things you can do. One thing is very good, to keep the monkeys away. What do they do? Huh? Who knows? Langur. What's a langur? It's also a monkey. What's a langur? It's a monkey. Oh. Pardon? It's a Hanuman monkey. You can say that. They're descendants of Hanuman, this particular breed of monkeys called langur. They have extremely long tails. Very strong monkeys. All the other monkeys will run away if they see a langur. You keep a langur there. The langurs they're easy trainable. There's always a man there who looks after him, and all the other monkeys run away if they see a langur. So you keep the other monkeys away. No monkeys. So like that, if we keep this mood of Hanuman, all these other monkeys in our minds, they run away, run away, run away. His broad back was a comfortable seat for the Lord.
Et son dos très large était un siège confortable pour le Seigneur.
It was Hanuman who directed the project of bridging the ocean.
C'est Hanuman lui-même qui a dirigé le projet de construire ce pont sur l'océan.
He said many times. He's also said that obstacles and other things that we usually hear Ganesh, but also Hanuman. You know, returning of lost things. You know, if you lose something, they usually say you worship Hanuman.
On dit que pour enlever les obstacles, c'est Ganesh, mais Hanuman il fait la même chose.
Sita was lost, and
il est celui aussi qui nous aide à retrouver les choses perdues.
It was Hanuman who found her.
Et Hanuman l'a retrouvée.
It's a sentiment that people have. So he's also an engineer. He directed the project of building the bridge over the ocean. So we have to invite Hanuman to come here so we can build a few houses. Huh? Sloping houses? He's the best of all carriers, including Garuda.
C'est le meilleur des porteurs, y compris Garuda.
There you go. Better than Garuda. He carried Lord to the south of the continent there when he wanted to go down to the south, from Kishkinda.
De tous les porteurs du Seigneur, y compris Garuda, c'est lui qui a emporté le Seigneur jusqu'à Kishkinda.
He fulfilled the desires of Bibhishan.
Il a satisfait les désirs de Bibhishan.
Because Bibhishan, he saw that Bibhishan, when he went to Lanka, that Bibhishan was opposed to Ravana. He was supporting Ravana. So when Bibhishan came to surrender to Ram, most of the monkeys were, oh, this is a trick of that, ogre. Ravana's a trick. They didn't want to accept him. Hanuman knew who he was. And of course, Bibhishan's desires also, it was Hanuman who basically was the main fighter in Lanka to fulfill Bibhishan's desire.
Donc, Hanuman, il savait que Bibhishan était dans quelle humeur il était, et que c'était un des meilleurs combattants aussi.
So let's see, here we go. read this? There's so many things. I mean, when Lakshman was made unconscious,
Donc vous vous souvenez aussi, il y a plein de choses, mais quand Lakshman était
two occasions were there. When he was hit out by Indrajit,
quand il a été touché par Indrajit,
and so many thousands of monkeys were knocked out, basically killed more or less.
il y avait des milliers de singes qui étaient KO, pratiquement morts.
Then it was Hanuman who procured the medicines.
Donc c'est Hanuman qui a
He jumped all the way to the Himalayas to get this particular herbs to,
l'herbe médicinale
which would revive Lakshman and all the other monkeys.
pour avoir l'herbe.
Couldn't find the herb. He had to fight on the way to get this herb.
Il a dû se battre sur le chemin.
Gandharvas and so many opposition was
Il a
there.
rencontré tellement d'opposition sur le chemin.
And eventually he found the herbs on this mountain.
Finalement, quand il a trouvé l'herbe,
He found the mountain, rather, where the herbs were supposed to be, Gandhamadana mountain.
trouvé la montagne.
But he couldn't find the herbs.
L'herbe, il n'avait pas trouvé l'herbe elle-même.
So he ripped the mountain out of the ground.
Alors il a pris la montagne.
Famous picture of Hanuman flying through the air with a mountain on his hand,
Célèbre image de Hanuman
all the way
qui
back
vole
to
en
Lanka.
l'air avec cette colline sur la main
And
et
then
le
the,
ramener jusqu'au
then the herbs were found and the extracts were placed in front of
donc l'herbe
Lakshman, and he became revived again.
a permis de raviver Lakshman.
So many ways Hanuman was
Il a tellement
serving the Lord, selfless service,
servi le Seigneur
never asked anything in return.
sans attendre quoi que ce soit en retour.
There are many stories, it says here, that are left out. Most people's Ramayans, they're not aware of so many of the wonderful ways which Hanuman served Lord Ramchandra.
Donc il y a tellement d'histoires qui ne sont même pas dans le Ramayana avec laquelle Hanuman servait Ramachandra.
Hanuman was the very life of his soldiers.
Hanuman était la vie même de
Life of his soldiers. And Prabhupada says
des soldats.
that just like today, usually the leader is the one in an office somewhere. Prabhupada's own words, he said, the one ordering people to go to war is sitting in an office somewhere smoking a cigarette and sending everyone else out to war to die.
Prabhupada mentionne que de nos jours, le dirigeant des armées, c'est celui qui ne va pas sur le champ de combat, mais qui se trouve dans un bureau en train de fumer ses cigarettes.
But the real leader is one who is leading the force.
Mais un véritable leader, c'est celui qui mène ses forces.
Supremely intelligent and valorous, he brought victory to Lord Ramchandra.
Donc suprêmement intelligent et valeureux, il a amené la victoire au camp de Ramachandra.
He added spotless fame to his Lord, who killed the king of the Rakshas.
Il a amené une célébrité sans tache au Seigneur quand ils ont tué les différents Rakshasas.
It was Hanuman who encouraged Mother Sita, and by the Lord's order, this Hanuman, the one true recipient of his master's favor, still lives in this world, though unable to bear separation from the Lord.
C'est Hanuman qui a encouragé Mère Sita
Sorry.
et suivant l'instruction du Seigneur, c'est Hanuman qui est le véritable récipient de la faveur de son maître.
So we read a little commentary on this. So this is all spoken by Prahlad Maharaj
Donc ça a été énoncé par Prahlad Maharaj dans
about the glories of Hanuman.
à propos des gloires de Hanuman.
Prahlad next mentions the rewards Hanuman enjoyed for his service. When Lord Ramchandra was anointed king of Ayodhya, he particularly favored Hanuman by presenting him Mother Sita's golden necklace.
Donc Prahlad a mentionné aussi que lors du couronnement de Ramachandra à Ayodhya, Hanuman a été a reçu la faveur de Ramachandra en recevant le collier en or de Mère Sita.
More than this, he granted Hanuman unflinching, pure devotion to him.
Et plus que ça, il lui a accordé la pure dévotion sans tâche envers sa personne.
Since Hanuman's life with Lord Ramchandra after the victory was so fortunate, one might ask how Hanuman could ever have left the Lord's association.
Du fait que la vie d'Hanuman avec le Seigneur Ramachandra après la victoire ait été si fortunée, On pourrait se demander comment Hanuman a pu quitter la compagnie du Seigneur.
Why did he not return with Lord Ram to the eternal Ayodhya in Vaikuntha, along with the other residents of the kingdom?
Pourquoi est-ce qu'il n'est pas retourné avec Ramachandra dans son royaume éternel avec les autres serviteurs?
When Lord Ramchandra wound up his pastimes, he took all the residents of Ayodhya with him, and they just ascended up to Vaikuntha.
Quand le Seigneur Ramachandra conclut ses divertissements, il a emmené tous les résidents d'Ayodhya jusque
But Hanuman didn't go.
Mais Hanuman n'y est pas allé.
The answer is that his Lord specially asked him to stay behind on earth.
La réponse est que le Seigneur lui a spécifiquement demandé de rester sur la terre.
Atmeshvara means his own Lord, and it also means the Lord of all Atmas.
Donc Atmeshvara, ça veut dire son propre Seigneur, mais ça veut dire aussi le Seigneur de toutes les Atmas, de toutes les âmes.
In other words, by staying in this world, Hanuman gave all its inhabitants a much better chance to take to the path of pure devotional service.
En d'autres mots, en restant dans le monde, Hanuman a donné à tous les habitants une meilleure chance de prendre le chemin de la pure service de dévotion.
This is a mood which is seen in Vasudev Datta, for instance, other devotees who are willing to stay as long as the Lord wants for eternity, if needs be, in this material world, so to speak, for the pleasure of the Lord and the benefit of other living entities.
Donc on voit ces humeurs de dévots comme Vasudev Datta qui sont prêts à rester tout le temps qu'il faut pour donner la miséricorde aux entités vivantes.
Lord Ramachandra ordered Hanuman to make this severe sacrifice because the Lord wanted to bestow such mercy on the conditioned souls.
Le Seigneur a demandé personnellement à Hanuman de faire cette austérité parce qu'il veut répandre ses bénédictions sur toutes les entités vivantes.
There's another aspect here which was not mentioned in this case, but it's the living in separation from the Lord is Hanuman's most difficult and glorious service.
Quelque chose qui n'est pas mentionné là, mais c'est le fait de servir en séparation, c'est ce qui est le plus glorieux des services de Hanuman.
The most difficult service to live in separation, but the most glorious service.
Le plus difficile des services, le service en séparation, mais c'est le plus glorieux.
Again, it's you could say an incident or a situation which we see occurring in various Prahladas in separation. We see in the case of here with Hanuman. We see in the case of the gopis in Vrindavan, or so many situations of service in separation there.
Donc on peut voir tous ces exemples de services en séparation qui ont été magnifiés par Hanuman et puis les gopis.
The mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vipalamba, this intensive mood, the most intensive mood of love of God, this mood of separation.
L'humeur de Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vipalamba Seva, qui était cet intense sentiment de séparation dans le service.
Is more intense than meeting.
C'est plus intense encore que la rencontre elle-même.
He keeps himself alive by constantly hearing the glories of Lord Ram.
Il reste constamment en vie, simplement en écoutant constamment les gloires du Seigneur Ram.
This is how a devotee keeps alive, by regularly hearing topics concerning Krishna.
De la même façon, nos dévots restent en vie, simplement en écoutant régulièrement les gloires de Krishna.
Staying by the side of the Lord's deity, he is present even today with the same splendor as always.
Donc, restant aux côtés de la déité du Seigneur, il est toujours présent dans la même splendeur que toujours.
And a little commentary. The pain of separation from Lord Ramchandra will be unbearable for Hanuman, but he has survived by staying always absorbed in the ecstasy of Shravanam Kirtana.
Donc la douleur de la séparation du Seigneur Ramachandra était insupportable pour Hanuman, mais il a pu survivre cette douleur en restant toujours absorbé dans l'extase de Shravana Kirtana.
This is how we can stay alive, by hearing and chanting the holy name of Krishna, hearing and chanting Krishna Katha, etc.
Donc c'est comme ça qu'on peut rester en vie, simplement en écoutant le saint nom de Krishna et la Krishna Katha.
Expert singers amongst the Kim Purushas, like Ashdishena, support Hanuman by providing sweet recitations of Lord Ramchandra's glories for him to hear.
Donc les chanteurs experts parmi les Kimpurusha, comme Arshistashena, soutiennent Hanuman en donnant une récitation très sweet, très douce des gloires du Seigneur Ramachandra.
This is where the Dasyaras, again, another aspect of Dasyaras, even in the intimate Leelas of Radha and Krishna, when separation is there, the other associates of Radharani keep her alive by reciting and reminding her of Krishna and his pastimes.
On voit la merveille de ce Dasyaras et aussi dans les divertissements de Krishna, on peut voir comment les gopis se soutiennent l'une l'autre en chantant les gloires des divertissements de Krishna.
Hanuman stays in Kimpurush Loka, near the permanently installed deity of Lord Ram.
Donc Hanuman est resté à Kimpurusha Loka, près de la déité qui a été installée en permanence du Seigneur Ram.
We can see how all this is going on even now, or at least the opportunity is there even now in our own lives, where we can serve the deities, we can hear the glories of the Lord, and so on.
Donc on peut voir dans nos vies aussi comment c'est effectif d'être auprès des déités du Seigneur, de pouvoir chanter ses gloires et entendre ses divertissements.
My dear spiritual master, Prahlad Maharaj is talking to Narada Muni.
Prahlad Maharaj qui parle à Narada Muni.
Hanuman's greatness is well known from scriptural statements.
La grandeur de Hanuman est célèbre dans les différentes écritures.
Like the chief of the monkeys became perfect by acting as the Lord's servant.
Comme étant que le chef des singes est devenu parfait simplement en agissant en tant que serviteur du Seigneur.
Dasya is complete service. It involves all the senses, even on the physical level.
Donc Dasya, c'est un service complet qui inclut tous les sens, même au niveau physique.
Just as all the senses of the physical body are purified by a bath, they are all naturally engaged by a devotee's absorption in Dasya Ras.
Donc tout comme les sens du corps physique sont purifiés par un bain, donc ils sont aussi naturellement engagés dans l'absorption dans le Dasyaras.
Although Hanuman obtained from the son of Dasharath the boon of liberation without striving for it, he never wanted to accept liberation without the opportunity to serve. To that Hanuman I offer my obeisances.
Donc bien que Hanuman ait obtenu du fils de Dasharath la bénédiction de la libération sans la demander, il n'a pas voulu accepter la libération sans avoir l'opportunité de servir.
They said that Hanuman didn't, in one sense, when he was with the deity, he didn't consider he wasn't with his original Lord. He thought it was just the same as before. The Lord was manifesting himself in that form.
Donc quand Hanuman était près de sa déité de Ramachandra, il ne voyait pas de différence avec Ramachandra, il pensait que c'était Ramachandra lui-même qui se manifestait.
There's another fascinating story regarding Garuda, who was sent by Lord Vishnu to see Hanuman.
Donc il y a une autre histoire où Vishnu a envoyé Garuda pour rencontrer Hanuman.
And to test him, actually. The Lord tests his devotees.
Et pour le tester, le Seigneur teste ses dévots.
He wanted to show Garuda the intensive love of his pure devotees.
Il voulait montrer à Garuda l'intense amour que les dévots portent pour leur Seigneur.
So maybe that story is here. I'd like to read it if it is. I'll leave it for now because it's so wonderful story. Listening to the nectarian Ramayana recited by Gandharvas and other celestial singers, Hanuman was in ecstasy.
Donc en écoutant le Ramayana nectarien récité par les Gandharvas et d'autres chanteurs célestes, Hanuman était en extase.
His limbs trembled, tears poured from his eyes, and the hair on his body stood on end.
Donc ses membres tremblaient, et des flots de larmes coulaient de ses yeux, et ses poils se dressaient sur son corps.
Forward. Narada cried out in joy, "All glories to you, Sri Raghunath, to the beloved of Sri Janaki, all Hanuman."
Muni ne pouvait contenir sa joie Avec ses pieds, il dansait, avec ses mains, il essuyait les torrents de larmes qui coulaient des yeux du Seigneur des singes. Partageant l'humeur unique de Hanuman, d'amour, d'extase, Narada parla dans une voix forte.
Sri Narada said, "Yes, you are the greatest recipient of the mercy of the Lord. No one can compare to you. You were always immersed in an ocean of ecstatic worship of the Lord, enjoying it as newer and newer at every moment."
Sri Radhamani said, "Oui, tu es le plus grand récipient de la miséricorde du Seigneur suprême. Personne ne peut être comparé à toi. Tu es tout le temps immergé dans un océan extatique d'adoration du Seigneur, te réjouissant encore et encore à chaque instant.
You are the Lord's servant, His friend, His carrier, His seat, His flag, His umbrella, His canopy, His fan. You are His bard, His advisor, His doctor, His general, His best helper, the expander of His infinite glories.
Tu es le serviteur du Seigneur, son ami, celui qui le porte, celui sur lequel il s'assit, son drapeau, son parasol, son fan. Tu es son conseiller, son barde, son docteur, son général. Tu es son meilleur ami et tu es celui qui répand à l'infini ses gloires.
When Bhima eventually spoke to Hanuman on the path, Hanuman gave him a boon.
Quand Bhima a parlé à Hanuman sur le chemin, Hanuman lui a donné une bénédiction.
On the battlefield, when you shout your cry of war cry, I will shout along with you.
Il a dit, quand sur le champ de bataille tu vas pousser ton cri de guerre, eh ben moi je pousserai.
He assured Bhima he would be with him on the battle.
L'assurant qu'il serait avec lui.
And he would bring fear into the hearts of all of the opponents with that loud roar. The battle flag. He was so tall, Hanuman, that everyone could see him even from a great distance.
Hanuman était tellement grand que tout le monde pouvait le voir d'une grande distance sur le drapeau du.
Even though liberation destroys the bondage of material existence, Hanuman said, Hanuman, I have no desire for liberation, in which I would forget that you are the master and I am your servant.
Bien que la libération détruise les liens de l'existence matérielle, je n'ai aucun désir pour la libération qui me ferait oublier que tu es le maître et que moi je suis le serviteur.
Even though liberation destroys the bondage of material existence, I have no desire. Parikshit Maharaj then said, don't read that here. Hanuman was now burning in the fire of separation from his master, the Supreme Lord, and the fuel of hearing about the special mercy of the Lord's lotus feet had brought that fire to a blaze. For a while he cried sorrowfully, and then calmed by the sage he spoke.
Donc Shri Parikshit said, Hanuman a dit, Hanuman maintenant brûlé du feu de la séparation avec son maître, le Dieu, la personne suprême, et le combustible d'écouter à propos de la miséricorde spéciale du Seigneur à ses pieds par les lotus avait amené un feu brûlant par lequel il pleurait sa détresse et il a été calmé par le sage qui a dit.
Sri Hanuman then said, O best of sages, why are you doing this to such a wretch, devoid of the lotus feet of Sri Ramchandra? Why do you make me cry by reminding me of how the Lord has neglected me?
Shri Hanuman dit, ô meilleur des sages, pourquoi est-ce que tu as fait une telle chose, quitter les pieds par les lotus de Sri Ramachandra? Pourquoi est-ce que tu me fais pleurer pour me rappeler comment le Seigneur m'a négligé?
If I am really the Lord's servant, then why did he forcibly abandon me when he took with him to his spiritual kingdom his dear devotees, including Sugriva and all the residents of Koshala?
Je suis réellement le serviteur du Seigneur, alors pourquoi est-ce qu'il m'a de force abandonné alors qu'il a pris tout avec lui dans ce monde spirituel, tous ses dévots, y compris Sugriva et tous les habitants de Koshala.
You are very kind to me because I have had the good fortune to engage in his service. You conclude that the Lord has given me his favor.
Donc tu es très gentil avec moi parce que tu as la bonne fortune d'être engagé à son service et tu conclus que le Seigneur m'a accordé sa faveur.
Actually, no. But now the Lord has descended to Mathurapuri, where he displays the summit of his opulences and powers. All the mercy he has shown me cannot equal a speck of the mercy he has shown the saintly Pandavas, any more than a molecule of earth can equal Mount Samara.
Maintenant, tu es descendu à Mathurapuri, où tu as accompli le sommet de toutes tes opulences et de tous tes pouvoirs. Toute la miséricorde que tu m'as montrée ne peut égaler même une particule de miséricorde que tu as montrée au Saint Pandava. Et pas plus qu'une molécule de terre ne peut égaler le mont Sumeru.
He awoke within Narada Muni this desire. Now we have to go and see the Pandavas.
Donc Narada Muni
You should go and see the Pandavas.
doit aller voir maintenant les Pandavas, c'est ce que lui indique Hanuman.
But that was difficult for Hanuman.
C'était difficile pour Hanuman.
Sri Parikshit said, Hanuman, the ocean of sobriety, then sighed for a moment, and after a brief time in thought, he bowed down to Narada and spoke.
Donc Parikshit a dit, Hanuman, qui est un océan de sobriété, après un moment, il a pensé, il s'est abandonné à Narada et il s'est mis à parler.
The mood is different.
L'humeur est différente.
It's almost like breaking his exclusive devotion to Ram.
Donc ça brise un petit peu sa dévotion exclusive à Ram.
He said, no, I can't go with you to see them.
Et il a dit, je peux pas aller
Please forgive me.
avec toi pour aller voir les Pandavas.
So what can be said about foolish forest monkeys like me? Because of how strangely Krishna's pastimes unfold, I'm afraid of committing offences.
Donc que peut-on dire d'un singe des forêts stupide comme moi? Parce que comme ces divertissements de Krishna s'expandent d'une façon étrange, j'ai peur de commettre des offenses.
And the commentary, even so, oh no, this is the next verse. Even so, I simply feel more attracted to the Supreme Lord in his eternal identity as Sri Raghunath, the son of Dashrath, and joy of Mother Kaushalya, even though he could recognize the worship of the Pandavas and Dwarka and so on was higher, he couldn't give up his worship.
Donc bien qu'il ait reconnu que la dévotion des Pandavas était supérieure à la sienne, il ne pouvait pas laisser tomber, lui, sa propre dévotion.
He is spontaneously, his heart rather, always tender with natural unaffected compassion. He is spontaneously attracted to loving exchanges with his devotees, exchanges free from any tinge of duplicity.
Donc il était plus attiré par la forme suprême de Ramachandra, le fils de Dasharat et de Mère Kaushalya, et son cœur était toujours attendri par une compassion sans mélange. Et il était spontanément attiré par les échanges d'affection avec ses dévots, et ces échanges qui étaient libres de la moindre trace de duplicité.
He demonstrates how to follow properly the religious duties of a civilized people, and he upholds the strict vow of having only one wife.
Et il a démontré comment il suivait de façon appropriée tous les devoirs religieux de personnes civilisées et comment il tenait ce vœu strict de n'avoir qu'une.
Describing Lord Rama, of course. He stands with bow in hand, the King of Kings, the hero of the city of Ayodhya, served.
Servi par Sita et Lakshman.
This older brother of Bharat rules the race of monkeys as the dear friend of Sugriva, and gives shelter to Bibhishan. By my hearing of the pastimes of Krishna, the unlimited attraction I feel toward my own master has increased.
Donc le frère aîné de Bharat règne sur la race des singes qui sont très chers à l'ami de Sugriva et qui donnent refuge à Vibhishan. Simplement en écoutant les divertissements de Krishna, cet amour illimité que je ressens pour mon Seigneur a grandi.
This is also there in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Lord Chaitanya would be glorifying Radha and Krishna, and some of his followers were disciples, followers of Lord Ram.
C'est arrivé aussi dans les divertissements de Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, il glorifiait Krishna, mais il y avait certains des gens qui le suivaient qui étaient des adorateurs de Ram.
And some of them, quite to the contrary, instead of becoming attracted to the worship of Radha Krishna, their intensity of their devotion to Sita Ram increased.
Et ces personnes-là, au lieu de devenir attirées par Krishna, ce qu'ils ont trouvé, c'est que leur amour pour Ramachandra a augmenté.
So then we carry on. Hanuman says, therefore I think I shall stay here, constantly seeing him in this form and drinking the immortal nectar of his pastime.
Donc Hanuman il continue en disant, je préfère rester ici, constamment le voir sous cette forme et boire le nectar immortel de ses divertissements.
So as he said, I'm not independent. I have to go where the Lord wants me to.
Et en essence, il dit, je ne suis pas indépendant et je ne peux aller nulle part où le Seigneur ne veut pas que je
Even though he knows Lord Ramchandra is an expansion of Devakinandan.
Et bien qu'il sache que le Seigneur Rama soit une expansion de Devakinandan.
When the Lord may sometimes call me for some purpose by his great mercy, he might allow me the transcendental happiness of serving him.
Quand le Seigneur parfois m'appelle pour quelques besoins, par sa grande miséricorde, il peut aussi me permettre la joie transcendantale de le servir.
If he calls me, I'll go anywhere.
S'il m'appelle, je peux aller n'importe où.
Or inspired by affection for me, maybe the Lord may call me just to show me the beautiful form I love more than my own life.
Ou alors, inspiré par son affection pour moi, le Seigneur peut m'appeler pour me montrer sa forme magnifique que j'aime plus encore que ma vie.
So Narada Muni tried to, I have to summarize a little bit, but he tried to appeal to him that the Lord wants that both of them go to see him in Dwarka. Hanuman should agree to fulfill the Lord's desire.
Donc Narada Muni ne pouvait pas répondre du fait que le Seigneur Krishna en fait voulait que les deux viennent à Dwarka. Hanuman devait accepter pour satisfaire le désir du Seigneur.
Hanuman said, no, better than that is I give up my life.
Et Hanuman il a dit non, ou alors je vais abandonner ma vie.
But if called to Lord Ramchandra's side in Ayodhya, or if only for some short assignment, Hanuman would leave Kimpurushloka at once, without a thought. He could never leave for any other purpose.
Mais s'il était appelé aux côtés de Ramachandra à Ayodhya, même ne serait-ce que pour une petite devoir, Hanuman quitterait Kimpurushloka immédiatement.
Imagine if we could have this thought in relationship to Srila Prabhupada's mission.
Imaginez si nous pouvions avoir ces pensées par rapport à Srila Prabhupada et sa mission.
And here's this story, and I'm going to finish with this story. It's a curious story, it says.
Donc il y a une histoire ensuite, une histoire curieuse.
Once Lord Krishna in Dwarka wanted to break the pride of Garuda and others by showing the steadfast exclusiveness of Vaishnava devotion.
Une fois, Krishna à Dwarka voulait casser la fierté de Garuda et d'autres en montrant l'exclusivité de la dévotion Vaishnava.
So he called Garuda to his lotus feet and told him, please hear my command.
Donc il a appelé Garuda à ses pieds par les lotus et il lui a dit, s'il te plaît, écoute mon instruction.
You should bring Hanuman from Kimpurushloka.
Tu dois ramener Hanuman de Kimpurushloka.
Garuda went, approached Hanuman and told him, the personality of Godhead, King of the Yadavas, is calling you, my dear Hanuman. Go to him at once.
Donc Garuda a approché Hanuman et lui dit, Dieu la personne suprême, le roi des Yadavas, il t'appelle, mon cher Hanuman, donc tu dois venir avec moi immédiatement.
But Hanuman, exclusively devoted to Sri Raghunath, ignored Garuda's request.
Mais Hanuman, exclusivement dévoué à Sri Raghunath, ignora la requête de Garuda.
Angered, Garuda tried to take Hanuman to Krishna by force, but Hanuman, with the tip of his tail, pushed him effortlessly away.
Donc Garuda a essayé d'emmener Hanuman de force, mais en l'attrapant par la queue, mais celui-ci l'a repoussé sans aucun effort.
Garuda fell through the sky and landed at Dwarka, where Krishna, amused to see him, said, "Dear Garuda, go back to Hanuman and tell him that Sri Raghunath is calling him."
Donc Raghunath est tombé du ciel et est atterri à Dvarka, où Krishna a rigolé de lui et lui a dit, cher Garuda, retourne à Hanuman et dis-lui, c'est Sri Raghunath qui l'appelle.
After dispatching Garuda again, Krishna turned himself into Lord Ramchandra and made Sri Balaram become Lakshman.
Donc après avoir renvoyé Garuda, Krishna s'est transformé en le Seigneur Ramachandra et il a transformé Balaram en Lakshman.
When Queen Satyabhama seemed unable to turn into Sita Devi, Krishna, laughing, had Sri Rukmini become Sita instead and placed her at his left side.
Quand reine Satyabhama a été incapable de se transformer en Sita Devi, Krishna s'est mis à rire et il a demandé à Sri Rukmini de devenir Sita. Et il l'a placée à sa gauche.
Then the three of them stood waiting for Hanuman at Dwarka.
Alors les trois se sont mis à attendre Hanuman à Dvarka.
When Garuda met Hanuman and told him of the Lord's request, Hanuman, filled with ecstasy, responded by running to meet the Lord, his Lord.
Quand Garuda rencontra Hanuman et lui a dit que le Seigneur l'attendait, Hanuman, rempli d'extase, s'est mis à courir immédiatement à la rencontre du Seigneur.
He took darshan of the disguised Krishna, Balaram and Rukmini, and offered prayers in devotion. Very much satisfied with Hanuman, the Lord bestowed on him whatever benediction Hanuman chose.
Donc il a pris darshan du Krishna déguisé, de Balaram et de Rukmini, et il a fait des prières en dévotion.
But what, then Hanuman says, but what can a forest monkey like me say about the Pandavas? Your Lordship, I don't know, this is something else. I'll leave that. So in this way, the Lord always reciprocates with his devotees.
Donc de cette manière, le Seigneur réciproque avec ses dévots.
Okay, well, on the last note of the, we won't read this about Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta is another form of Hanuman, of course, in Gaur Leela. Chastity. Chastity to Lord Ram was tested by Mahaprabhu. He couldn't give up chanting Sita Ram, despite repeated requests from Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was in ecstasy and embraced him. He said, you are Hanuman, the eternal servant of Lord Ram. Eternal servant of Lord Ram. It's interesting how these queens also take on, they have different moods. There's the two moods here where Satyabhama is in complete spontaneity. There's not a tinge of Aishvarya Bhav there. Oh, there's a tinge, but it's not as much as Rukmini.
Donc on peut voir qu'il y a deux reines différentes. Satyabhama était complètement dans l'amour spontané pour Krishna. Il n'y avait pas du tout de traces de référence.
And the same with Jambavati.
Par rapport à Rukmini.
Jambavati was the daughter of?
Jambavati, la fille de Jambavan.
Jambavan. And Jambavan was also in the Ram Leela.
Et Jambavan était aussi dans les divertissements de
Ram. And he, of course, he remained also throughout the period of time before Krishna appeared.
Donc il était présent avant que Krishna apparaisse.
And in certain different daughters of different dimensions. But during Ram Leela, Jambavan had offered his daughter to Lord Ramchandra in marriage.
Donc
Ramchandra had made various vows, and one of those vows was to only have Ekapatni, one wife.
Mais Ramachandra avait fait beaucoup de vœux, et parmi ces vœux, il y avait le fait de n'avoir qu'une seule épouse.
He was thus given this good fortune, thus in his next appearance, that Jambavan will be able to offer his daughter to that same Lord.
Donc il lui a donné la bénédiction que dans sa prochaine apparition, il pourrait recevoir sa fille en...
Jambavati was thus offered to Lord Krishna as his second wife, actually.
Et c'est ainsi que Jambavati était offert comme la seconde épouse à Krishna.
After Rukmini, Krishna married Jambavati, then he married Satyabhama.
Donc il y a eu d'abord Rukmini, ensuite il y a eu Jambavati, et après il y a eu Satyabhama.
Anyway, so many wonderful relationships and description of the pure devotion of Hanuman.
Tellement de merveilleuses descriptions de la dévotion de Shri Hanuman.
It's by that developing, that cultivation under the guidelines of pure devotees of the Lord, that cultivation of pure devotion.
Ça nous donne aussi beaucoup de directives et d'exemples de comment développer la pure dévotion à Krishna.
That the quality or the eligibility to actually understand or see or enter into the pastimes of the Lord is made possible.
Il nous montrait comment on peut devenir éligible à rentrer dans les divertissements et du Seigneur, comment c'est possible.
So we can pray to Hanumanji today for pure devotional service to our spiritual masters, to Srila Prabhupada, to Lord Chaitanya, etc.
Donc on peut prier aujourd'hui à Hanuman pour qu'il nous confère la pure dévotion à Srila Prabhupada, notre maître spirituel.
Unflinching, selfless devotion.
Et qu'on ait une dévotion sans tâche.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan ki jai, Sri Ram Navami ki jai, Sri Hanumanji ki jai, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Sri Ramayan ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.